So let's do some more examples to help you out. So if you look at this picture, it's going forever up, which means it's going forever right. It's going forever down, which means it's going forever left. So the domain will just be all real numbers, and the range will be all real numbers. Now, let's look at this one. We've got two parts. So what we're going to do is going to write the domain in two parts and then put them together. So if I look at this one, it's going forever up, which means it's going forever right, and it's going forever left. So if it goes forever right, it's taking care of this part also. And if it's going forever left, it's taking care of this part also. So I don't even have to write it in two parts. I'm just going to say domain is all real numbers. Now think about that. Because if it's going forever up, it would be going forever right. That would take care of this part too. And if that's confusing you, again, think about what I said yesterday. If this is going forever up, it has a slight slant to it. So it's going to continue to go kind of like this. So if my arrow is, if I'm up there and I want to come down to get the x-axis, see how far right I've gone? So that means the further I go up, the further right I'm going. The further I go down, the further left I'm going. So that's why you say from a left to right motion, it's all real numbers. Now what about range? Well, it's obviously going forever up, forever down on both of them. So again, I don't even have to write two parts to it. It's just going to be all real numbers. So let's look at this one. We've got a triangle. So remember, domain's left to right. So my furthest left point is -1. My furthest right point is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, remember I've got two endpoints. So when I write my domain, I'm going to put my endpoints. My x is in between it. That means x's are bigger than -1 and the x's are less than 5. So the way you write it is, remember, the sign eats the bigger number. So it'll be -1 less than equal to x less than equal to 5. Now what about range? What's our lowest y? 0. What's our highest y? 1, 2, 3. So again, I'm going to put my endpoints 0 and 3. Y is going to be in between. It eats the bigger number. So I've got 0 less than equal to y less than equal to 3. Now when I say all the points fall between that, think about if I go to this ordered pair right here, how do I determine my x? Right there, which would be what? 1, 3. And how do I determine my y? Over here, which is 3. So if I did that on every point on that triangle, it's going to fall between those 2 points and between those 2 points. You don't have any graph up here or down here or further left or further right. Now let's look at this one. First thing I always look at is, do I have endpoints? And yes, I do. So my furthest left point is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. -7. What's my furthest right endpoint? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So domain, put my endpoints, put my x in between them. It eats the bigger number. And of course I'm using equals to because they're solid dots. Now what's my lowest y? Be careful because this side's lower than that. So if I go over here, This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, negative 5. And what's my highest point? 1, 2, 3, 4. So again, I put my endpoints. You always go from bottom to top. Y is in between. And I put it eats the bigger number. So my range is negative 5 less than equal to y less than equal to 4. And think what you're saying. You're saying that any point on this graph is going to fall between those numbers. And if you look at that, that is true. Now, let's look at this one. What do you notice different about this? They're not connected. They're individual dots. So when we go to do, we would write the ordered pair of each one of them. But in this case, do we even need to list the x's? Because what do you know about the x coordinate of each one of these dots? They're all on the same place for x, which is what? At 2. So every x coordinate of that dot has 2. So domain will just be 2. You don't have any x's right, you don't have any x's left. Now range are different, so you'll pick the y value for each one. So you've got negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So they're individual ranges. Make sure I did that right. Negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. Now let's look at this one. All right. We've got endpoints. So when we go to do the domain, remember domain's left to right. So your furthest left is all of these, which is on negative 3. All of those x coordinates are negative 3. And what's the furthest right you go? Negative 1. So again, you come over here, put your endpoints, x in between, sign eats the bigger number. Now range, my lowest point is 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 4. My highest point, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I put my endpoints. I put y in between. And the sign eats the bigger number.